thanks so much for joining us. Today, we're really lucky to have 4 legends of the channel agent market joining us. And we're covering the whole Eastern Seaboard. So we've got Vivienne from Mariecris Global in Queensland. We've got Mariecris from Abundance Property in Victoria, Navid Silva from Grit Property in Victoria, and we've got Bruno Novo from One Central Property in Sydney. These guys are selling property well through the pandemic. They've all got different strategies, and they're being generous enough with their time to come and share those with you. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, John.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, John.
Vivienne, I'm going to start off with you. How has you all been affected by the pandemic? You've got offices all over Australia.
Yes, I think we're very lucky because we have different office, and we also have a lot of business partners in China. So we were able to borrow experience from our partners and adapt really quickly. Actually, as quick as we could. In 1st of April, we signed with a platform in China just to advertise our properties directly to the Chinese audience in China. And we on the platform, we could do a property live for each project we were promoting. And instead of just, a 3 or 4 minute video of the property, just nice pictures, nice videos, and make you feel really cold. But we went in with a bit of a personal experience. We actually have our sales people go into the sales display and introduce the project either with a developer or with one of our colleagues. So we went in really personal and detailed, from a buyer, what would you say, what are the advantages, and give on the video experience, kind of a touch and feel experience as best as you can. We had a lot of hates on the property live. So in Melbourne, Brisbane, and Gold Coast, together we did over 30 property live for different projects. And the best record we had is nearly 80,000 hits for each live. And inquiry followed by that. But I found that those inquiries would be hard than before to turn from a lease to a sale because of the border are closing. The Chinese buyer actually holding their decisions. We have also helped a lot of our buyers to transfer money from China to Australia, but they haven't, they haven't been buying anything yet. I think they are holding their decision too. And for the sale we made in the past months, I would say only 20% are from overseas, and the rest 80% are within Australia.
Your business covers a bit of offshore and onshore. How has COVID-19 affected your business, Bruno?
So we focus about 80% onshore, which is local Australian investors, about 10 to 20% of overseas. What has really helped us, and we started business 2019, which was the bottom of the market. Now, when the climate's like this, we're very used to it. So we know exactly what to do in times like this. So what has really worked well for us is doing more value-adding activities, more video contents, just giving out more value to our clients, because bottom of the market and climates like this is more fear to our clients. And when there's more fear, we just need to educate them more. Why is it a good time now, today, to invest and to invest for the future? So really our services that are so comprehensive, it's just for them to help them invest in a time like this. So we're very used to this environment. So that has really helped us getting more appointments done via Zoom. We have done Zoom for quite a few since last year. And so this is very normal for us. This is the new normal of what it will look like. So we're very used to it.
Navid, do you share that view that this is the new normal? I know you're a video content king. Every time I look on LinkedIn, I see you. How have you found the environment?
Yeah, I mean, as everyone said, it has definitely affected us as well. But I'm on the other side, I'm glad it happened, because I feel as a team, this has made us much more stronger. We do training every single day with the team, in terms of sales training as well as product training, as well as we are doing a lot of webinars, which we never did before, rather than going into certain countries. Last week we did one for India to Mumbai and New Delhi, and we are planning to do one in UAE, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Singapore, Malaysia in the coming weeks. I think stronger, and obviously sales volumes have gone down, but the entire team is positive, and as Bruno rightly said, we just want to add more and more content, more and more value to the clients, and build a really good pipeline.
Mariecris, I know your business is really focused on that nurturing those specific customers all the way through. How has COVID affected your strategy?
Well, in terms of strategy, we have values and how we want to approach the market all the time. So our values haven't changed and our strategy hasn't changed, and it's similar to everybody else, value adding and adding more than what we were asking. We haven't actually contacted much, like, personal calls, old clients, because we wanted to be, especially that first 2 weeks, we wanted to be really sensitive to the current climate of, purchasing property. And it was interesting that our older clients were actually calling us and, wanting updates and wanting to be in the front foot of things and getting advice early on, because what we like to do is help them build a portfolio. So we're not selling them one property. We're actually trying to build a portfolio so that they can achieve that lifestyle. So we have really benefited from just value adding. So we're talking to older clients. We're touching base with a lot of our networks, so partnerships, because we're finding that a lot of our referral partners, we weren't able to actually contact them prior because everyone's running like headless chook before COVID-19, and now everyone's around. So this is a really good time to partner with networks that you wanted to partner with prior to COVID-19, because everyone's either working from home or at the office, and they're not taking as many of it. We're focusing on building relationships because we know that once lockdowns finish, there's going to be so much opportunity that we need to build that foundation now while we have the time.
Bruno, I know you recently made a couple of sales in one of our concierge projects. So you're clearly selling right now in the current market. How did you secure those buyers, and how are you balancing that concept of building pipe for the future with getting deals done now?
Yeah, so the concierge has been really helpful in regards to helping us negotiating on behalf of our buyers and the developer. So what has really helped us is a tailor-made investment package. So we've got a buyer that a client of ours who has inquired through our marketing campaign. And the first 2 sessions was just really understanding her situation. Now that we understand her situation, this is prior to the pandemic. So everything was all fine. She was ready to move forward, but her job was very insecure regarding, don't know if her job was going to be lost or not. And so she was a little bit nervous in regards to that, but the government did a very excellent job in introducing JobKeeper. And so there was a lot of stability in there. And now she just needs more flexibility in the deal. And Rob from Investorist was extremely helpful in that, in the concierge department, and securing a very flexible payment plan and getting this deal done. The buyer was happy, the client was happy, the developer was happy. And of course, we're happy as the agents to able to help them during times like this.
And how did you find that buyer? Was that through your marketing campaigns?
It was through a marketing campaign. It was run through Facebook and Instagram. Times like this, we're actually investing more money into a marketing campaign just because everyone's going to be at home. Everyone's going to be researching now that they have realized this is a new normal. Everyone's thinking that this will be the reality of the next few months, how many months. People are not actually spending less money because they don't go out as often now. And so with that money they saved up, it can be invested into something else now. Real estate is more and more tangible than that.
It was really interesting. I was actually catching up with one of my friends doing a social distanced walk, and that friend of mine told me that a number of his close friends are accessing their superannuation, and they're using that and they're planning to use that as a deposit for a property. Navin, your target is both local and overseas. Looking at overseas market now, do you think people in India, Sri Lanka, Middle East are looking at Australia favourably?
The number of inquiries have gone down, but the last 2 weeks, the number of inquiries have gone up. In terms of overseas investors, they still do have the interest, but we need to provide more and more information and education to make sure that they understand that this is not the end of the world. I mean, typical investor would think they would just read the media and say the property prices are going to go down 20-30%, which is not the case. We just have to educate them why it's not going to happen and keep them on the loop and convert them when things are better.
Vivienne, how are you finding the feedback from Chinese investors on the Australian market at the moment?
We have done sales, in this special period. We have a lot of clients. They really took the advantage of the low exchange rate and the low interest rate. So we have that. They how to put it. Half of it they really holding their decisions, waiting for the border to open and to see the project in person, and half of it would still go ahead with the investment if they just take advantage of the low interest rate and the low exchange rate, so they still go ahead with the purchase. I think they require a lot of more information and professional service. The agent really need to know what they're doing, what they're talking about. It's not like before, like any inexperienced sales can make a sale to Chinese just because the Chinese wants to buy.
Yeah. So it's tighter. Mariecris, I know you're still selling at the moment. What is unique about the buyers that are buying now? Why are they not waiting?
Well, I think there was a little bit of uncertainty last year, especially before the election, and then people wanted to, wait and see what happens. And a lot of these clients now already had pre-approvals prior to COVID happening. And because COVID has happened, there's more uncertainty in the market, and those pre-approvals are going to be running out. So they're actually taking advantage of the fact that they've already got the pre-approval. They can move forward, and they've still got stable jobs. They're taking advantage of that, the fact that there's some certainty with what the agreement they've got with the banks, and they're taking advantage of the fact that there's discounts happening in the market already. And I really think it's not an indication of, property prices going down. It's just showing that it's just a response to the government restriction. It's not that everyone's selling their houses at a lower rate. So we haven't really seen that. It's just developers are trying to encourage purchasing again. It's harder to get to, like Vivienne said, it's harder to get to an inspection. It's harder to see because...
I saw the guys from Urban Developer today release some really interesting information on the secondary market, which showed that in my home state of Victoria, sales rates were down 85%, so really low in the secondary market, but sales prices had actually shown a modest increase. So it's really interesting to see. I think the government's change to banking and forcing banks to freeze home loan repayments for 3 or 6 months has saved property prices in this country.
Exactly.
I'd be surprised if we see the reduction.
It's even with the JobKeeper stimulus programs, people aren't, desperate to sell their houses because they can't meet those mortgage repayments. So I don't think we're going to see once, obviously, you don't know exactly, like in 6 months when that stimulus packages stop, we'll have to reevaluate. But right now, no one's rushing off making rash decisions because of there's these governments fighting to help.
So talking about the things the government's doing to help us along, I'll open this question up to everyone on the panel. What do you think developers should be doing right now to help you sell more of their property?
Anyone
on the panel, anyone that thinks they've got, all of you, what should people do? Mariecris.
Okay, I think I think developers are already responding really well to the current situation. They're already being on the front foot and discounting properties, and are not just discounting, but able to have that conversation. So they've reached out. A lot of the developers we work with or have sold for in the past are reaching out early on in the piece and saying, look, whatever you need, providing that support. Let's talk about it. If you do have a client that is wanting to purchase, so they're not straight away deciding 10-20%. They're actually just opening up that conversation and putting it on us and saying, what is it going to take for you to achieve this deal? So I think just for developers to increase the conversation with agents will be a great thing to see. We're seeing it already, because if you're having those conversations with agents, at least you can see what the clients are needing. Because at the end of the day, I heard somewhere on a podcast, there was actually 8%. Retail went up 8% in the last month. So people still have money. It's just that there's lockdowns are happening, and there's uncertainty in the market. So people are scared to do anything. But there are people that are still cashed up. It's not all doom and gloom. So I think developers will benefit from just having conversations with agents and reaching out to them.
Yeah, I think it's the flexibility. Or as Marie said, most developers are flexible. For example, each client there is something which is important to them. I was able to secure something last week by offering a furniture pack. That was important for a parent to get the kid settled in an apartment. Whereas some would be looking for, I'm also negotiating with another developer by waiving off FIRB fees for a volume deal. So each client's requirement is different, and as long as the developers are flexible in talking through them and more frequent communication with the agents, then I think it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Bruno, you talked a little bit about flexibility as well. Is there anything specific that you think developers can do to cut through at the moment?
I think one tool that's been working really well. Noted that we're based in Sydney, and some of our investors one example. 3D has been really excellent, a popular tool that's been utilized in this market. And in terms of flexibility, some developers would like a 10% deposit upfront, which is the standard. But in just regards to just being more flexible, it's an open discussion at the end of the day between the developer and the investor and the agent. Is having that common ground where everyone's happy with their terms. I think that is the main key point in this market, and also last year as well, having that open discussion. And I think it's a very good time, not only just on developers, I think it's a very good time to speak to a financial broker, a mortgage broker, because rates are really, really in a good deal. And now at this point, they had a monthly meeting, the cash rate is still remain the same, 0.25%. So we can see interest rate is going to remain low, or they're going to be very attractive rates in the market.
I think you've talked everyone's talked a little bit about the future. Vivienne, what do you think, what are your predictions for the next 3, 6, 12 months? Where's the market going?
I'm prepared. I'm prepared for actually a good sales outcome for us, because to be honest, I think everyone is trying to stay positive, but I think a lot of people are going to take a hit for this. People who couldn't be able to keep their job, they may lower. There will be sellers. They will have to sell, and developers, if they need to their stock down, they have to meet the market. We have already been seeing that we have developers in Queensland willing to take 5% deposit instead of 10, and doing stamp duty rebate. So furniture package, rental guarantee, like everything they can think of. I think that's really good. With the vendor working with us and willing to meet the market, I think for agents, we can could better outcome in the future.
Yeah, and I guess
near future.
and I guess in businesses like yours, and everyone on the panel, having that advisor there that really is able to drive the outcome for the buyer, probably more buyers will go to to advisor groups than previously. Do you share that view, Bruno?
I do, and I think given that now that so many people has so much time at home, they're actually going to be much more savvy, much more educated, because they read so many articles, so many educated content, but they're not sure at the end of the day. They're much more confused because they consume so much content. They need to go to someone, to a company or a person, to just clarify what is happening. Because in the last few weeks, family, friends, clients just came up to me saying, "Hey Bruno, the market," I read and I quoted, "It could be," but then you just have to really talk to them step by step. What is the case of it? You just have to really teach them, educate them. This is how it's going to work in regards to if the price is dropping or not. We just have to look for more specific areas. Not every location is going to drop 30%. You just have to choose the right locations, because the right locations actually, as Navid has said, some of the areas has increased. This to why. We need to learn a scientific model, which we have that model, is to actually see why it's increased. And now the valuation is going to be a topic of point. And also the rental, how quick you can get the rentals and your property rented out. All these criteria, all this conversation, the model we have in our company proves that it won't be effective because we have all this research done in place.
Navid, what's your view of what is going to happen in the market?
Yeah, in the market, I think it will be stagnant months. And I feel the market will start to rise from there onwards when we come out of the COVID-19, simply because the interest rates are all-time low and we don't think it will move any way up for the next few years. As well as from an international investor, exchange rates are pretty favorable. So I think the market will head up definitely towards the end of this year.
Mariecris, do you share that view that banking is probably going to be our savior?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we can just look at the GFC. I don't know if you guys were in Australia back in, 2008, 9, 10. We didn't get hit by it that much because I personally feel that we live in the best country in the world, but we have so much, stimulus that comes in. But when that GFC happened, if you guys can remember, it happened, and then 11, 12, 13, property prices were really every year. They were consistent in at least in Victoria. I had property in Sydney back then. I really think that once the lockdowns have eased and we're allowed to somewhat go into a new normal again, to be able to be with people again and businesses reopen, that there'll be a bit more confidence in the market again too. And once that happens, the government, it's in their best interest to pump more stimulus into the economy. So, there's talk about taking out stamp duty, things like that. And once people come into the property market, like first home buyers and people of that nature, that they need, fridges and dishwashers and all that stuff, and it's a real domino effect. So I think it's in the best interest for the governments to stimulate the economy yet again once COVID lockdown. So I feel that, I share it with Navid too. I feel that it'll just be stagnant for the next, say, 3 months while we're coming out of lockdown, but then people will start getting smart and seeing the opportunities in the market.
Guys, thank you so much for joining me on the panel. I actually learned a lot from that. What I took away from it was you can still spend money advertising online and find new buyers that are coming out of the woodwork and they're ready to buy now. It's a really good time for all of your peers to be reaching out to their current database, their old purchasers, and reconnecting. Developers need to be really, really flexible at the moment. But I learned that everyone in your business, and you guys are at the coalface speaking to investors, you're speaking to mortgage brokers, you're speaking to banks, and all of you are predicting a pretty positive 2020. So fantastic, a fantastic panel. Thank you so much for your contribution. Good night.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.